December 7th, 1941, 353 Japanese aircraft screamed toward the sleeping Pacific Fleet. In hours, sailors would be leaping from burning ships into oil-slicked flames. It's one of the deadliest surprise attacks in American history. Thousands will die, and nobody knows it's coming. But let's change one thing. Sitting on a runway at Hickam Field is something no one understands. A 170-foot flying wing with no tail, no windows, and skin that seems to swallow light. A B-2 Spirit stealth bomber from 2024 dropped into a battle it was never meant to fight. So, what happens when the most advanced bomber on Earth is unleashed at Pearl Harbor? Can it turn the tables on an entire carrier fleet? Or is it just one plane against an empire? First, let's talk about what we just dropped into a 1940s Hawaiian runway. The B-2 Spirit looks less like an airplane and more like something from a science fiction novel. Its flying wing design eliminates the tail, the fuselage, basically everything that reflects radar. To modern detection systems, it appears roughly the size of a large bird. To 1941 technology, it's invisible. Two pilots sit side by side in a cockpit packed with more computing power than existed in the entire world in 1941. The aircraft cruises at 630 miles per hour, nearly twice the top speed of a Japanese Zero, and can fly at 50,000 feet, 20,000 higher than any fighter of the era. But the real nightmare is what it carries in its belly, up to 40,000 pounds of precision ordnance. Its options are 80 GPS-guided bombs, each capable of hitting a target the size of a parking space from 6 miles up, or 16 massive 2,000-pound bunker busters, or cruise missiles that can strike from 50 miles away before the target knows they exist. One B-2 carries more destructive payload than an entire squadron of World War II bombers and delivers it with accuracy 1941 couldn't dream of. But here's the catch. It has no guns. No missiles designed for dogfighting. If enemy fighters catch it, the B-2 can't shoot back. It has to run, hide, or die. And it just woke up in the middle of the largest carrier strike in history. Admiral Nagumo's Kido Butai is brutal. 6 fleet carriers carry the most experienced naval aviation force on the planet. Their air wings carry 408 aircraft flown by pilots who've been training for this exact mission for months. The first wave alone consists of 183 planes. Fast and deadly A6M Zero fighters, Aichi Val D3A dive bombers, and Nakajima Kate B5N torpedo bombers that carry modified shallow water torpedoes designed specifically for Pearl Harbor. And they're 45 minutes from turning Battleship Row into a graveyard. In real history, this ends with 2,403 Americans dead, 4 battleships sunk, and a nation shocked into war. This time, there's a B-2 on the runway. 6:45 a.m. The B-2's crew receives fragmented radio traffic about unidentified aircraft approaching from the north. Engines spool up as ordnance crews scramble clear. The bomber needs a long runway to get airborne, and luckily Hickam's strips were built for B-17s. They'll do. The aircraft begins its takeoff roll just as the first Japanese fighters appear on the horizon, their distinctive engine whine cutting through the morning air. This is the first moment of real danger. The B-2 is a sitting duck for bombers until it's in the air. Japanese Zero pilots spot the strange dark shape accelerating down the runway. The B-2 lifts off just as the first Zeros dive. Within the minute, it's already accelerating past 400 miles per hour, nose pitched toward the sky. No Zero can match the climb rate. The bomber punches through a cloud layer and vanishes. The B-2 levels off at 45,000 feet, nearly 9 miles up, and banks north. The carriers are roughly 230 miles away. At cruise speed, they'll reach the Japanese fleet in about 25 minutes. Below, Pearl Harbor is already starting to burn. This is the brutal reality the B-2 faces. It can't stop the first wave. The torpedoes are already in the water. The bombs are already falling. USS Arizona is already gone, her magazine detonating in an explosion that kills 1,177 men in seconds. Turning around to defend the harbor means dogfighting with an aircraft that has no air-to-air weapons. The only way to stop this attack is to kill it at the source. 8:15 a.m. The B-2's radar paints the Japanese fleet on its screens. 6 large carriers in a rough formation surrounded by smaller blips, escorts, destroyers, cruisers. The carriers are recovering first-wave aircraft and already preparing to launch the second wave. The B-2 is not defending. It's looking for revenge. The Japanese have no idea what's coming. There's no radar on these ships capable of detecting a stealth bomber. Lookouts scan the horizon for American patrol planes that never appear. The few Zeros on combat air patrol circle lazily at 15,000 feet, watching for threats from the direction of Hawaii. They're looking 30,000 feet too low. The B-2's bomb bay doors open. The targeting computer, using inertial guidance since GPS satellites won't exist for another 40 years, calculates calculates drop solutions for the largest radar returns. The pilot confirms visually through the targeting pod, flight decks crowded with aircraft and crews scrambling to refuel. The first 2,000-pound JDAM releases. Akagi's deck crew never sees the bomb. One moment they're pushing a Kate into position, the next, the forward flight deck erupts in a column of fire and steel. The explosion punches through the wooden deck, detonates among fully fueled aircraft in the hangar below, and turns the pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy into a floating inferno. 6 seconds later, Kaga takes 2 bombs amidships. Her aviation fuel stores ignite almost instantly. The remaining carriers scatter, but scattering from a bomber at 45,000 feet is like running from lightning. Soryu catches a bomb on her stem that wrecks the steering. Hiryu's captain orders a hard turn that saves his ship from a direct hit. The bomb detonates 50 yards off the port bow, showering the deck with shrapnel but leaving her operational. The B-2 has expended half its payload. 2 carriers are sinking, 1 is crippled, and the Japanese still don't know what's hitting them. Now the problems start. The B-2's targeting systems were designed for GPS guidance. Without satellites, the bombs rely on inertial navigation. Accurate, but not the surgical precision of modern warfare. Some weapons drift. A bomb aimed at Shokaku lands in the water. Another clips the stern of a destroyer instead of its intended target. And the Japanese are adapting. Every Zero in the air is now climbing toward the last reported bomb trajectory. They can't see the B-2, but they know something's up there, and fighter pilots are aggressive by nature. The B-2 crew watches their radar as hostile contacts spiral upwards, searching. Past 40,000 feet, the Zeros are struggling. Their engines wheeze in the thin air. Their controls feel mushy, but a few pilots push their aircraft beyond the red line, desperate to find the invisible enemy killing their fleet. One Zero actually sees it, a dark angular shape against the bright blue sky, unlike any aircraft he's ever imagined. He opens fire. The Zero's guns are not designed for this altitude, and the pilot is barely conscious from hypoxia. No shots land, but for 3 seconds, the B-2 is in someone's gun sights. 9:30 a.m. The B-2 makes one final pass. Shokaku and Zuikaku are fleeing west at flank speed, their captains making the calculation that escape outweighs honor. The bomber crew debates pursuit, but checks their fuel. They've been airborne for nearly 3 hours. If they want to return safely, the B-2 must return to Pearl Harbor. They drop their remaining bombs on Hiryu. 2 hit, and the flight deck buckles as fires break out across the ship. She'll never launch an aircraft again. When the smoke clears, the Battle of Pearl Harbor looks very different than history recorded. The first wave still succeeded. Battleship Row took its hits, and over 1,000 Americans died before breakfast. But the second wave never reaches Oahu. The pilots who attacked Pearl Harbor in the first wave returned to find burning wreckage where their ships should be. Most ditch in the ocean when their fuel runs out. So could a single modern bomber stop the attack on Pearl Harbor? No, but it could cut the death toll in half and minimize damage. The B-2 and its pilots land safely at Hickam Field 4 hours after takeoff, rolling to a stop amid the flames and chaos they couldn't prevent, while Japan loses 4 fleet carriers and most of their elite naval aviators in a single morning. Or what do you think would happen? And if you're curious what would happen if a modern jet fought the Spanish Armada, check out the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.